Research question: to what extent did the color revolution influence Ukraine throughout the years?
What is color revolution? Color revolution can be defined as non-violent mass protest aimed at change the existing quasi-democratic government through election. Basically, the term color revolution is a metaphor that is used to describe a peculiar phenomenon. First, it could be questioned whether a color revolution is really a revolution, because the concept of revolution includes claims for the creation of a new socio-political order. In contrast, color revolutions are legally limited to the changing of the political elite within the existing political system. Second, the word color highlights the importance of well-crafted and targeted political symbolism as a mass mobilization tool. The critique of color revolution is based on the perspective of the geopolitical struggle, according to which it is a Western tool for broadening and strengthening global influence. Historical background of color revolution from late 2003 through mid-2005. A series of peaceful street protests toppled corrupt and anti-democratic regimes in Georgia, Ukraine, and Kyrgyzstan, and ushered in the election of new president in all three nations. These movements, collectively known as the color revolutions, were greeted in the West as democratic breakthroughs that might thoroughly reshape the political terrain of the former Soviet Union.
Ukrainians gathered in mass to insist that Viktor Yushchenko, the internationally recognized winner of the poll, be allowed to fulfill his mandate. Kyiv turned orange, as everyone from shopkeepers to taxi drivers to bank presidents adopted Yushchenko's campaign color as their own. After 17 days of loud but orderly protests, the newly emboldened Supreme Court ordered a repeat of the presidential runoff. Less than 2 weeks later, Yushchenko celebrated his victory in that poll. In 1 month, the Ukrainian people had reset their country's political and geographical orientation and had demonstrated their support for freedom, democracy, and truth. The power of the people had triumphed, a point clear to anyone who had visited Kyiv during the previous weeks.
Impact of revolution on Ukraine. The greatest success of the Orange Revolution was not electing Yushchenko as president, but changing Ukraine's political institutions in order to get then President Leonid Kuchma and his supporters to accept him as president. Yushchenko made a deal that changed the constitutions. These changes will have a profound effect on Ukrainian politics. First, among these changes, executive power will be split between the president and prime minister, which was necessary to curb the excessive power of the president. However, power was divided in such a way that the president and prime minister are more likely to be rivals than partners, leading to infighting and statement which may trigger calls for further constitution revision. Second, the parliament will be elected entirely by proportional representation, and there will be no more independent deputies. This is a very important reform because independents tend to support whomever would offer the largest bribe. Third, the Orange Revolution also changed Ukrainian society. A powerful civil society has emerged. Since the success of the pro-Yushchenko protests, many Ukrainians see themselves as people who can organize and affect political change. Civil liberties and the freedom of the press have expanded to the point where it will be difficult for any future leader to take them away. Negative aspect. However, some aspects of Ukrainian society have not changed in the past year. Ukraine is still a divided society. The regional division between East and West is the most notable division, but there are significant ideological divisions in the country, even among those who supported the revolution. The Ukrainian economy is struggling prior to the protests, responding erratically to the shifting power situation, with the greatly sinking to the historical levels. Credit agency Standard & Poor's cut the country's debt rating and downgraded its financial outlook, as the International Monetary Fund (IMF) sought to restore corruption, and the limited rule of law remain a serious problem that the new government has so far failed to address. While it is unlikely that the upcoming parliamentary elections will be stolen by one particular party, it is certain that it is official use administrative sources add votes for their choice of party.
There are 3 possibilities to address these persistent challenges. First, Ukraine needs a leader who is able to garner substantial support in both the eastern and western regions of the country. Currently, Yulia Tymoshenko seems to be the figure most likely to gain support across Ukrainian regions, but there are other concerns about her as a leader. Second, Ukraine needs a larger constituency that supports economical and political reform. Finally, Ukraine needs an anti-corruption campaign. Getting rid of corruption in Ukraine would take generations at best, but it's time to start. Democracy won't be the solution to all the Ukrainians' problems. In fact, democratical systems, especially proportional representation systems, tend to discourage drastic reforms, but they are better than the alternatives. Democracy may not bring economical reform, and it may not bring close relations with the United States, because it may not be what the whole Ukrainian society wants.